Well, I screwed the pooch up earlier in the week. It's that matter of getting it all to work out. My guest is the incredible Morgan Leblanc, writer, director, producer, actor, rock star, Renaissance man. I can just keep going and going and going, I'm sure. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm all right. Busy during these COVID times, but still, just gotta keep moving.
It's life, man. You have to keep moving. Hey, so I'm going to tell you like my big epiphany when I did COVID hit. I was like, honestly, you know what the very first thought was? This is going to sound very terrible. Let's make some fucking money. Like, let's just go. Let's just go for it. Yeah. No fear. Just like you guys. Well, no, because for me, it was like I've had my own near-death experience, and I've been sick, not necessarily like not letting the degree like someone with cancer or leukemia or something like that, but I've had my own struggle. I had a unique little struggle with that a few years back, so it put kind of things in perspective. So everything that terrifies you about this time, I experienced it in some form or another. So it was like, okay, I've been here before. Let's just keep going. Let's just
do it.
That's it, right? Now, admittedly, this has been a weird time, and it's going to be a weird time for probably another few years before there's some degree of whatever the fuck normal is. But
yeah, it's kind of scary. It's a little scary.
It's different, right?
Well, yeah, I'm kind of into the conspiracy side of things. Not entirely. Like, I don't think, fake virus, but it's just like the changing of the rights and stuff. Like, some of that stuff really scares me.
It should.
Yeah.
This is how I say it. One, Canadians don't fight for rights.
No.
It's order.
No, we give them away.
Well, yeah. No, we
take it.
Well, it's a human nature thing too, right? When you're scared, when you're frightened of something, you glow for what a feeling is, right? Or what normal will be like in some form or fashion. When you feel like some kind of control, some kind of sense that you are safe, right?
True. Okay.
Right. So the natural inclination when you do this is to trust whatever the order is, like whoever's in charge. It's a natural thing. Hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but you might know what you're doing because you're in charge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, that's not necessarily how it actually works in real life, but that is a typical human nature response. So what at that point is very much about what you got to look at is what's said and what's done. And if what is said and what's done don't match up, then you should be concerned. And that's it. Like we are looking at the fact that like everybody wants that assurance of safety. Truth is there is no safety. There never has been. But the natural inclination, that feeling of safety is what people go for. And when pushed, most people will give away anything for that feeling. Right? That's the truth. Now, it doesn't last forever. You can't keep that feeling up forever because eventually people just say fuck it. Right? And that's but we again the appearance of control is what is huge. The truth of the matter is, I mean, you can still do, and one of the things I've learned in this time is you can still do pretty much what you want if you really want to. The question becomes, are you willing to deal with the fallout of it? Sometimes it's better to play the game. Sometimes you have to stand and fight. And I think for every one of us, that's a different question. In Alberta, your government is special.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's special to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, it's like it is. but there are a few things that are working for people in situations like this, and something to consider. Number one, you can literally you can see the kind of I've learned this. You can literally see the kind of people that are running things based on their actions and their ethics, and one usually betrays the other. So, based on that, I mean, I'm not the only one that's come to this conclusion. Our leaders have no ethics. It's pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward. I don't think an argument exists. No conspiracy. No, nothing. Anyone that wants to give me an example, I'd love to hear it because I haven't found it. So that's the that's the flip. That's the reality. That will catch up. It always does. But or our culture is doomed, and at this point, it's about doing what you want. And that's
so do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than wait for something to open up, yeah, just do what you want, because endorsements will cripple you forever.
Yeah.
If you are waiting for a politician to, lean, depending on endorsements, it's not going to happen. So do you, and that's the only thing you can control is you.
Sadly, well, yeah, well, that honestly, that is it. That's all there is to it, right? You can only control what you can control, and the rest will be the rest, and that is it. That truly, that truly is it. Everything else is trying to worry about anything else is pure insanity, and the people that really want to control that are honestly insane. So, my good luck to you. God bless you. Please don't kill us all. And then that's and that's it. Like
I don't worry about things I can't control either.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's
just stress that is going to go nowhere and do you no good. So
that's it. That's it. Like, and honestly, and in one really true way, like, and I've said this on a few other podcasts. In one very real sense, nothing's changed. It's still the same world that it has always been. The uncomfortable jolt, for most of us is, I think, for the first time in a long time, most of us realize how fragile it actually is.
True. Yeah. I think too that people have never been exposed to such fear, whether you think that it's mongered or if it's real or manufactured. I think that is like a big awakening for a lot of people. Is like, this is the weight of fear. Yeah. So moving forward, they will know what fear feels like after this, like the real fear of like, oh my God, I'm so trapped. I can't do anything.
Well, it's adversity. It's an adversity that hasn't been experienced, like
for 100 years,
at least, right? At least, maybe longer. Because if you sit there and think about it, like this, what we have a blessing in this time in the sense that we have our little Tower of Babel here. That's what this is. Like, essentially, you and you're in Edmonton-ish. I'm in.
I flop.
Yeah, I flop. Yeah, I'm in Windsor-ish, and we have this wonderful thing where, unlike in the past, where we could talk and communicate with each other, which is great. Honestly, it's a great thing. But on the flip side, literally, we are literally under the thumb of a light bulb. Oh, we have stuff. Click, we don't. Oh, we have stuff. Click, we don't. I mean, it's literally a click. And this could all be gone tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've traded one form of fragility for another. And that, I think, to me, is the most interesting thing about this time is there is no, like I said, there is no safety. Like I've learned this a long time ago. There just isn't. So it's about what are the risks you want to take in this life while you're here, and knowing that you're not walking away from it. You're never gonna walk away out of here. So why?
We're all gonna die here.
Yeah. It's probably gonna be painful. It probably is gonna be painful, right? So let's. I mean, so okay, we've established that. Now, what do you want to do for the rest of your life?
Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. So how you been keeping happy?
I've been doing therapy. New to it. It's a little overwhelming. It's difficult, but it makes you feel maybe a little bit more whole than you did the hour before that.
More honest.
Yeah, with yourself.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. No, the one of the hardest things about life in general is we have the tendency we have this tendency like to think of like we're the hero of our own story. Now we don't always treat ourselves like the hero of our own story, but there's always that little bit of the back of the mind. It's like we're the good guy,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we're full of shit. We are completely and totally full of shit. And therapy, a good psychologist will confront you on your bullshit. And when it confronts you on it, you discover things about yourself that you did not know were there. And some of that is absolutely terrifying.
Oh, it's beyond terrifying. Some of it, though, you know that it's there, but you're in your own way of getting it out.
I actually truly believe you know it's all there on some level. It's just when you're ready to see it. We all have we all have like our bubbles. You know, I try to be as honest as I can be, but even I know, like, even with myself, I have my own biases, flaws, or just things
Oh, of course.
I do not know how to see properly. Now, I can grow into some things, right? But at the same token, I there are always things I'm going to be blind to. Always. That's just the way it is. And a good psychologist will look at your blind spots and go, "Have you considered this?" To which point you're like, "No, I've never considered this."
Wow, how refreshing.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, essentially, they're listening to you, and they're just simply pointing out what's already there. The only real question is, are you willing to be okay with what you see, even if it's just in little pieces?
Well, and if you're not, are you willing to do the work to be okay with it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as an artist, if you can't be vulnerable with yourself, with whoever, then it's pretty hard to look at your work and go, yes, I love that. Because you're like, well, if I don't give 100% of myself then to this project, well, then I don't feel 100% disappointed when it doesn't turn out. So there's like a layer.
Imposter syndrome. So what are you
Yeah.
afraid of there? What are you afraid there of, the failure or the success? Because the failure, you're used to the failure. You're used to falling on your ass. So you're kind of just buffering yourself so that it doesn't, like, your ass doesn't get quite as sore when you hit the ice. But on the flip side, success is a completely new thing. Most of us don't know what success actually feels like.
I don't
And
know what
when
it
you
feels
get
like.
that, when you get it for the first time, you're like, "So holy crap, what do I do with it?" And one of the hardest things about that is how it's easy to learn from failure.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really, really hard to learn from success because it's working. But can you honestly look at your stuff and go, what am I doing that works? What am I doing that's not working? What am I doing? How can I get in my own way here and fuck this up?
Yeah.
You're right. That's it. Like most people are like, oh my god, I'm successful. Now what do I do? No. You got success. Now you want to come back here. So what did you do to make you go, I did this. This actually worked out. What was that authentic part of you that made that work? What are your weaknesses? What are the things maybe what are the things that could get in the way of you coming back here or getting to better platforms? Because that is the true path of success. It's not that when you succeed that I've done all the work I can do. Woo! No. How do I get back here? How do I top this? How do I get better? But now I don't have the so obvious flags of where I'm fucking up. Because here's the other thing too. Right? We all have flaws, and our work, and actually, it's the best thing about our work sometimes because it's not the story we're telling, it's our interpretation of it's the salt we bring into the water that makes the whole thing work. Sometimes that's true. That's what makes our stories our stories. But at the same time, we carry all our flaws with us too. And at some point, those things get in the way, no matter how good you are. So, which leads to the hard part. And it's really hard to disseminate your own bullshit when you're winning. When you're losing, it's easy.
Oh, you're like, I suck. Sweet.
Yeah.
How am I gonna get better?
But yeah, it's easy because you can learn very easily where things go. But when you're winning, okay, what am I doing that's working? It sounds like such a simple little question, but I bet you very few people ask that question.
That's interesting. I think it has to do with measuring success, because I think that success is really just a comparison of other things. That is how you feel successful. Right? You go, oh, well, I've achieved something that I didn't have before. That is success. Okay, great. Fantastic. I've got out of my comfort zone. Okay, that's success. Okay, great. That's fantastic. When you're successful, I think that's, for me anyway, that's someone else's measure. Because someone will go, oh, you did this thing, like that's so amazing. And I go, yeah, I'm happy with it, I guess, but I want to do this. I want to get better. I want to take, like you're saying, take all the things that I'm doing right and do them better, which kind of comes down, for me anyway, it comes down to my own personal subjectivity or objectivity. And I look at something and I go, I like it. I like that aspect. I don't care what anybody else thinks, but how can I do care about what other people think, but how can I make myself feel better about that moment or that thing or that scene or that whatever, without sabotaging your subjectivity. And then it comes into someone else's opinion. You go, okay, good. I appreciate that. I appreciate that feedback. I appreciate why and how that makes you feel. And I'm going to still strive to do that, to escalate that, to elevate that, to maybe keep that or maybe lose that feeling that they had or that feeling of their perception and change it. Can I use what they're seeing to change it for the better, or do I have to dance around it a bit more and kind of iron it out to eliminate that feeling? Do I need to eliminate that feeling? So yeah,
that feeling.
Exactly. So I think that, but as an artist as well, thinking that you're successful is like your biggest demise. Like appreciate your triumphs for sure, but realize and recognize that, hey, this is only a stepping stone to continue growing and learning and getting better at the thing that apparently I'm not too bad at. So what do you feel you're not too bad
at?
Storytelling. Apparently I'm a decent
that
storyteller.
Hasn't changed.
And apparently I'm decent at growing hair.
Yeah, I know. Same here. Like I haven't gotten like a haircut since the pandemic began. I was gonna keep it going until the pandemic was over. I'm not so sure now. I'm debating whether or not that's the correct course of action. Look at all my sexy hair. It's just growing and growing like this giant fro of go like maybe giant fro and just like make an afro and just like just go nuts. Just go absolutely crazy.
Well, right? Mine was like down to my nipples.
That's impressive.
So long, yeah. And then my agent was like, "Oh, you got to cut it. You look like a punk, a surfer, a drug dealer." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, okay."
Well, but there are those important surfer, punk, drug dealer roles out there that had your name on them no more. Well, you might still be able to do the drug dealer thing. You might be able to still do the drug dealer thing. Just wear a nice suit. Say you're a lawyer, have like really, really thick pockets. You probably pull it off.
True.
God, I'm a terrible human being. That's okay. Right.
Yes.
But
yeah, storytelling is what I'm
I know. That's
good at, I guess. So they say.
So, are you focusing on acting? Are you focusing on making movies right now? Like, what's your focus? What's your specialty? Or do you...
That's super difficult. I'm not really focusing on one, which I should be. I kind of take it as it comes a little bit, because filmmaking, producing, a lot of the time comes with acting, and I don't really produce unless I'm acting as well. So you kind of do both, and the nice thing about producing versus acting is you get to tell the stories that you're really passionate about telling. Whereas with acting, you're kind of like a guy for hire, serviceman, whatever, and they say, "Hey, we want you to be like this and like this and like this." And you go, "Okay, great. I don't really want to, but I will." And maybe I don't like the script, maybe I don't like the story, but pays the bills, I guess. And everybody will see me and think, "Oh my God, he's on Riverdale." I'm not, but I have auditioned. And like it's just not my. It's not my show, but hey,
well,
whatever.
I think. So I had a wonderful conversation with Mog Park. We had a conversation. I'm gonna go back to. I'm gonna unpack our success point, and I'm gonna tie into kind of what you're doing there. She did Game of Thrones. She was one of the designers for Game of Thrones. Okay.
So sweet.
Yeah. So both of us had this little talk because again, I'm not saying I'm a super successful whatever, but I am an award winner. I made an ass of myself and they gave me an award for it. So I mean, I did something right, right? But it never looks like what you imagine it to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about that, because when I was looking at getting, I was in Vancouver thinking about getting into the film industry before the world went a little, but until then, I was thinking about it. And my goal was to see if I could get into the Hallmark studio. Because, you're like, oh, God,
oh,
no.
yeah.
Then it's like, yeah. But I mean, but here's the thing about that, right? I was really thinking about like this from a production film thing, right? You're telling stories people enjoy. Yeah, they're cheesy. I'm not defending that. They're cheesy.
They feel good.
But the thing is, I recognize something too, right? A lot of the people that are working on that, right? A lot of people that are working on are actors for production. They know it, but they find a way to make it fun, and they kind of find a way to make it is theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And really, like for me, I want to write books. That's been my passion. I'm doing comics. I'm drawing stuff now too. I don't know if you've seen anything I've drawn, but I'm just doing. I don't know if I'm good, but I'm having fun, and that's really all that matters. Exactly. I don't. It's glorious when you don't give a shit. But here's the thing. I never would have imagined 5 years ago if you had told me I'd be a well-known podcaster of some repute. I never would have imagined that. Right? This doesn't look like what I set out to do at all. But at the same time, looking at it, it's really not that different than the guy doing it. So I'm not saying that you're destined to be the Riverdale actor that I mean, I don't want to typecast you into something that you don't want to be in. But there is something to be said about looking at the steps you're getting, at the stuff that's coming your way, and looking at that and looking at yourself and what you do with it.
Certainly.
Yeah, right. Is it really that different at the end of the day than what you really imagined? It is, but it isn't, isn't it?
Well, it is maybe, but it also will lead you somewhere that you didn't know that you wanted to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how, like even just what you just said about podcasting. I sought out the opportunity to produce because I thought, oh, this is the only way I can make this role for myself. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I kind of like producing more. Weird. I would never have even thought about doing it. Well, that's not entirely true. I did do it in high school, but it's you just fall into something and you're like, oh wow, that's way more in my stream of consciousness than that other thing. Yeah. And you wouldn't have got there had you not lifted the rock, had you not like pursued what you thought it was that you wanted to do, and then these doors close and then they open. And you're like, oh, okay, great. This is cool too. Okay.
Yeah, it's not like life surprises you. I think one of the cool things about discovery, right? And it just feels like a bit of a therapy thing. This stuff, I really go away. But one of the cool things about discovery, like I think art is a journey of discovery, and I think the doors we open is our own journey of discovery. In you want to make this career, cool. Who are you? Because that's the story you're going to tell, whether you realize it or not.
It's very true. Yeah.
You're like, I agree. It's like, yeah.
Well, it's the easiest, hardest path. Is that who are you and how are you in telling that? Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that? And so the sooner that you go through the therapy stuff and get there to say, this is who I am and this is the story I want to tell and this is my path, and then you go, wow, that was easy.
Kind of. It wasn't easy.
Well, yeah.
It was simple, but not easy.
Yeah, simple. Yeah. And so, the discovery of the self can also, really inspire the art in that, I don't want to say self-righteous, but in that way that you're like, this is it. This is what I want to be doing with my energy, whatever. And here it is. And then someone else is going to go, I dig it. I really dig that. I really, because you're being honest with yourself. You're being you. You're doing that.
So inspiring. I hear the movie scene out there is actually pretty rocking. Is that the case? Is it going? It's rolling
in Vancouver, in Edmonton.
In Alberta. I heard in Alberta.
Yeah, I mean there's some stuff going on. I think with Vancouver being so like overwhelmed with studio space and productions that are just like waiting, there's just a natural overspill into Alberta. If the politicians would smarten up and realize how to incentivize stuff like that.
Do you really want me to depress you with politics?
Say again.
Do you really want me to depress you with politics? Do you really want?
No, it's so depressing anyway.
Yeah, I could depress you more if you really want, because I know the direction Alberta's heading based on the fact that I've seen it before in Ontario. Okay. Right, this is your deconstruction phase.
Yeah,
they're going to rebuild you in a new and wonderful image in about 5 years. So it's going to be about 5 years. You're going to be a new and better, whatever it is you're going to be. But right this minute, you don't put someone like that doesn't come in. They only do one thing very well. Unfortunately for you, he happened to come in at like the worst possible time, because had it been a normal or a normal-ish time, he would never have succeeded at doing half the things he did. Mm-hmm. But because of the pandemic, because of this time, he was able to go farther than even he ever dreamed. He's at that point, and it's like, now what do I do? Like he's kind of like flustered, because he's like, all that master planning stuff, he accomplished it in the first year, right? Right. So 4 years or 5 years, you got in a year. So that's the depressing thing about where you're at. On the flip side, there's going to be, from what I've heard anyway, there's a lot of people right now getting a lot of work, and you're going to have that at least for a few more years, regardless of what the incentives or not the incentives are, because there's a need for it now. When I do think there's going to be a bit of a paradigm shift a little bit this year. I could be wrong, but I do feel there's going to be one. When the pendulum starts going back the other way again, over time, that might vanish. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will vanish eventually.
Hopefully.
And when it does, you'll be in BC a lot more.
Well, I already split time there now, so it's just kind of it's just kind of that wait and see kind of situation where you get an opportunity, you can transition fully, you can,
Yeah. So do you want to live in BC at this point? Is that where you want to go? Is that where you go?
Well, I debate that in Toronto just because obviously the two bigger markets. I'm naturally more attracted to the nature, the ocean, that lifestyle of BC a bit more. Growing up in the Northwest Territories, they're So,
oh yeah, no, I totally get that.
So, and just a lifestyle, maybe I'm a bit of a closet hippie, and that's okay.
There's nothing wrong being a closet hippie, dude. That's it. Yeah. Morgan LeBlanc, closet hippie, man. It's like whatever. It's all good.
Well, and I don't like to be consuming all the time. I don't like to be. My activities are not based around gas consumption. Like boating and quadding. I'm more of like a stand-up paddleboard kind of guy, and just going on a hike, like Yeah, I have to drive a bit to get there. But.
That's so. I was in Vancouver for a little too short a time. Me personally, I don't think I'm going to live in Vancouver again. Now, you could possibly talk me into Kelowna. You could possibly talk me into Nanaimo. You could possibly talk me to somewhere like that. I'm pretty sure I could be talked into those places, but Vancouver, not so much. I'm more, when I can honestly say I'm more comfortable in Toronto than I am in Vancouver. I probably shouldn't live there. It's just that's just me. That's just me, right? Right. I probably shouldn't. And I'm not saying I'm that comfortable in Toronto either. It's just more like if I had to pick, right? But that's me. That was my like. At the end of looking back on my experience in Vancouver, it was fun. It's beautiful. I can see why people really love the city, but it's also for me. It was a little. The vibe was not quite me. It just doesn't fit. Whereas Toronto, it fit me better. Again, this is me, not necessarily. You could just like if Vancouver fits you, go. I will say this though, right? I will say this: if you haven't tried Toronto like filming session, whatever, before you make that decision, maybe you should just try to say, okay, I did it. Right. I know what this is like. Right, and you might say, this is the worst fucking shoot of my life. I'm never going to do that. It happens. I mean, there are. Right, sure. I'm sure there have been movie projects you've done. Like, what are they doing? Right, what are they doing? Why am I here? I'm the pretty one. That's right. I am the pretty one.
If you say so. I mean,
yeah. Well, see, when I deal with insanity, that's what I say to myself. I'm the pretty one here. I am not even gonna remotely try and fix this. I've learned not to even. You know what?
Yeah.
Not my pay grade. I'm not gonna make it better. It's just, right. It's not. I'm not like they're not giving me enough of that to even try. So
give me a little bit more. Well,
but you get me to a certain point. I'll be a hero. I'll do it. Heartbeat, no problem.
You got it.
Hold my beer. But I mean,
hold my beer, yeah.
But I mean, it's. But you do recognize it. Like you can go on a set. Like and this is what I've noticed, right? Like but little experience I have on film crews. It's this. Directors usually have it together, right? Is usually they do a lot of their prep work prior. Huge. Big time. Yeah, right? Yep. And when there is a problem, it's like, okay, like if you're in Vancouver, it's raining. Well, yeah, it's Vancouver. Yeah, I know, but we need sun here. Well, fuck. There's nothing we can do about that. But those are the problems you have. Otherwise, it's like, nope. We got this figured. We figured this out. We figured this out. And when they are surprised, like, oh, this is a surprise. Okay, how do we make this work? Let's look at the script. Okay. Do we really need this part to be like this? Can we make it so that we don't have to and they know what they're doing. And some people are like, nope, I'm a genius. I know what I'm doing. You're like, oh God.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I don't know. Like, do you have any stories like that, or do you have like actually, when you're not producing, what was your favorite job that you weren't in charge of that you thought this was amazingly well done?
Well, directing, but that's kind of like a cop-out answer, I think. Because you're like, well, I feel like I should be the conductor of this whole train, so like get out of the way.
Yeah. I know what I'm doing. I swear.
Yeah, and then maybe the camera guy, and I don't know like the specs stuff. I don't know the tech specific stuff, but I'm always like, oh, this would be a good shot. Yeah, can we like get right down here and get up like that? So probably that. Yeah, I just it's this art of storytelling that is strictly pointing and shooting. Like you can have nothing, and just be a photographer and tell story with stills. You just go still, 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 still. And you can tell a story that way. And so I've kind of learned, a bit more about like editing and like storytelling through the cut. And so with a camera guy, you can go, okay, I want to see this, then I want to see this, and then I want to see this. And then you can see through that what it makes you feel. And you go, oh wow, why do I feel this weird apprehension? And all I saw was a bird pecking something, followed by a lock unlocking, followed by a wave crashing. Weird. Right, and it makes me feel this way. So, yeah, probably that. Probably the other like key elements of the storytelling part. Because actors are just talking props. Like we just walk around. Hi, hello, yes.
I actually I do have a lot of respect for what actors bring to it too, because there's some big time. They bring a lot of
emotion.
Not only that, I mean, they have their own idea how to tell a story, and sometimes better than yours.
Yep.
Yeah, better than yours. And it's like, I'll see this character like this, and they no, like this. Watch, just do it. Okay, sure. You watch them. Okay, I see where you're going with this. How did I not see this with the script? It was right here all along.
It's right in my hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think I did when I was on. I did a 48 it was 48-hour like the Underground Film Festival in Calgary, right? Where you had like 24 hours, 40 hours to come up with a film, something like that. It was a ridiculously short period of time.
It's so hard.
But the actors and like the actresses they had that actually brought emotion and character. It's like I looked at that. It's like I did not respect what an actor brought to things until I actually watched them work up close, and then you just realize, no, they are such an essential part of the story. It's almost when you watch another celebrity come in and try to act, it's almost insulting on one hand. I mean, some of them are really good at it, some of them aren't, and when you can tell that, you're like, this was a business decision. Oh boy,
not a creative decision.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, and whereas if you had someone that really knew how to tell a story, they would have nailed that part through the roof, and it would have been amazing. And sometimes you see a very wooden performance, and you're like, so I really hope that wasn't the director's instructions. Like that's, yeah.
That actually might be one of my other favorite jobs is casting. As an actor, casting is very fascinating because you make the sides and you send the sides, and in your head you're like, I would do it like this and I would do it like this and this is what I hope to see and this is what I'm expecting. And then these actors, who you likely reach out to because you admire them, whatever, they send you their interpretations. And then you get to see a very interesting process because, you have different people of different skill set, of different respect levels, of different background, different knowledge, all that stuff. And they're interpreting this small portion of the story because they don't know the whole story. They know this one aspect. And then you get to see them in their raw atmosphere or not. And you just, you see that and you see that work like on display, so to speak. And you can just go, wow, like that was, if it's good, you're like, wow, that was good. But then the difference between everyone is also very interesting. Oh, wow, how did that person get there when this person was way over here? And this person, all auditioning for the same person, are, they're in left center field. This guy's playing back catcher. This guy's, it's very different. And it's a cool experience of, individual creation. It's cool.
No, it really is. It's such a fascinating thing. I think, so I'm dating myself. The original Karate Kid, shut up and mold. Reese is amazing. He actually put himself in a room and he played this character, and you watched him tell the story of what would become Reese, the dark martial arts instructor of the Cobra Kai. And you looked at that and you said to yourself, wow, dark, charismatic, something people would gravitate to, but dangerous. You could do you could sense that, and that was who Reese was in the movie. He was that dangerous. Dangerous instructor. You couldn't help but feel a little drawn to. And and it made you look at Johnny very differently too.
Mm-hmm.
It's who he was learning from, but I remember that the casting still. They actually have that casting thing, and you're looking at that, and you're like, wow, that guy did an incredible amount of work. It more and more I just recognize preparation really is everything.
Oh, it is completely.
Mm-hmm.
And the preparation of being ready for the moments, that you may or may not have prepped for. But your work and all that stuff will show up in those moments of uncertain opportunity.
Absolutely.
Where things just happen and you're like, thank God I did all that other work, because now I'm kind of not looking too shabby.
That leads to an interesting thought then for you. So since we last talked, how many films have you done?
Like that I've produced or that I've acted in?
Both. Actually, let's go both numbers. I'm kind of curious.
I think I'd probably tack on 3 or 4 features that I've acted in. I think I've probably produced 2 more. We're doing a 4th one right now. So I've been really busy. Really busy.
And you've done, we'll say, 6 films at the minimum, 8 films at the max, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Both sides.
Yeah.
So then let's ask this. When we started the work you were doing, you were definitely filled with passion, vim, and vinegar. You're ready to take on the world. You still feel like you're ready to take on the world, even though right now it seems like you're taking on yourself. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right now a lot, which I it's fair. I mean, we all have to fight that battle eventually. But I just wonder, can you see where the roles you did at the beginning have prepared you for the roles now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because you think that you want specific things, and you think that you want to be at a certain level, and you want to achieve, these things. Then you do them, and you look back, and you're like, what? Okay, I understand where I wanted to be at that moment in time. And so as you kind of go along, your path, you go, well, thank God I did that. Even though I might regret it, or I might look at the performance and go, oh. But, being able to say, yeah, no, I acted full-time for 25 entire days is a lot. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of prep. There's just a lot of work that goes into all that stuff. And so knowing all that now, regardless of success or the performance or all that stuff, you go, okay, yeah, I remember what that was like. And so if I get a greater or lesser opportunity, you're still far more prepared than you would have been without that opportunity. But it's certainly shaped what you want and shaped the opportunities that you seek out and encourage growth from, because that was like this, well, I need to elevate a bit more in this specific direction. So without that stuff, I think the likelihood to spin your tires is almost greater.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like the foundation. It's like the learning the basics, even though it's not basic at all. It's like full on, here we go.
So can you okay, so let's do it like this, because I'm curious of a specific example. So as an actor, basically looking at the path of how you've evolved, what is one thing you did earlier that now you're glad you did it, so now you're in whatever your current roles are, right? The roles you're filming or the things you cannot disclose because you're doing it. What did the beginning teach you about where you are now, specifically?
It taught me what to be passionate about. It taught me what the difference between needing to do something and wanting to do something. Because needing, to do a part or to tell a story or, et cetera, is way different than wanting to. because wanting to is kind of like, yeah, I want to go to McDonald's. I don't need to go to McDonald's. But needing to is like, it with every ounce of you want to do that. You see what I did there? When you need to, every ounce of you needs to complete that, needs to be invested in it, needs to be thrown at it full force. Whereas in the beginning it was like a want, oh, I want to be on a movie poster. Oh, I want to see myself on a big screen. Oh, I want people to see me and stuff and recognize me. Okay, great. Who cares? Who cares about any of that? I need to tell this story because I think that it benefits mankind. It's something that people can relate to. I think that it touches people more than saying, oh, I want to tell this story. It's kind of, yeah, that's one of the things I learned. And same with roles as well. Like, you audition for something and you're like, do I need to play this character? Is there a huge piece of me that needs to connect to this part of myself? Or do I want to connect to this part of myself? So that's what I think would be the difference.
It sounds to me like you've been able to figure out the difference. Because we're talking want and need here. Have you figured out how to turn that need on at will? Because it sounds to me like you correctly understand this. Case in point, I did apply for a job in Edmonton. It was to be a narrative director for a game company out there because I do dialogue all the time. It's something I know I could do expressively well. I could write meta stories about the games and I'd have a blast. It's nice. But do I really need it? No. Because for me, regardless whether I get that or not, what I need to do is get people to tell their stories on my show. What I need to do is tell my stories so that people can read them or see them in some form or fashion. That's more important to me than that. Although I would not say no. I would do that in a heartbeat because yes, it's not everything, but it'd be fun and I would learn something. Yeah, it'd be like what? That's an amazing job. Find just searching, just doing some things. I need something. I'm gonna put my name in there anyway. Although I may not need it as much as somebody else, there's always a chance. And if I don't give myself that opportunity, but you did bring something up that was very important. I thought that was interesting is that need, that difference between want and need, that where you're driven when you need it as much as breathing, it drives you in a way that very few things do. So have you figured out how to turn that on and off like a light switch?
I mean, I can trick myself pretty good.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think so. What?
But is it a trick?
Well, that's an interesting point. I think if you want something bad enough, you can make yourself need it. But if you need something bad enough, you can't make yourself want it. I know that's kind of doesn't really make a lot of sense, but yeah, I think I can. But the tough thing with acting specifically is that you can't lie to the camera. So if you can't see me needing it, it doesn't translate.
Yeah, I agree. But I think this is where I think where I'm going to get at maybe with you, and it's because it sounds to me you need to create stuff, right? But it's if you haven't done it already, I almost feel like you're almost at that point where you're ready to really filter.
Yeah,
you're at that point. So I want to ask the other hard question. You talked about who are you? What do you want? Because here's the I know I don't do questions. I just don't. But the reason I bring this up is because when you filter, and I noticed this with everything I do. Actually, I did freelancing for a year, and one of the biggest things I had to learn doing freelancing was I kind of had to figure out who I was as a freelancer. And the biggest thing in my case is realizing over and over again that I'm doing the very things I need to do at all times. It's that recognition of what those things actually are. I kind of feel if you haven't realized it fully yourself, you're at that point as a producer and you're at that point as an actor. So, what are the roles you want to play? What are the movies you want to produce? Because if you can figure that out, you will know what you need. And the one thing I do notice about really successful people, like really, they do the things they really want to do in this life. They know what those things are.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it without hesitation. If you can figure that out, if you know the answers to those questions, and maybe this is why you are in therapy, I do not know. But if you can figure out the answers to those questions, you'll be able to turn that need on and off, and it will be authentic each and every time. And when you can do that, you'll get the things you really want.
Mind blown.
Does it make sense?
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's definitely, as an actor though, it's difficult because you don't necessarily get those opportunities that you want to get. No, and so it's like a waiting. It's like a biding your time. It's
but see, in this where I'm going to call you out a little bit on this. See, I'm going to call you out a little bit. See, you're right. I'm a freelancer, right? So here's something I realize I do very well. I interview people all the time. I have an incredibly good big mouth, and I can get stories out of people as a result. So why try to create stories when I'm already doing it?
Mm-hmm.
That was honestly the hardest thing I had to learn as a freelancer, is that I realized exactly what it was. And then once I figured that out, I could find my niche. I asked this question, and you don't have to answer me. I don't. In this particular case, this is where I'm going to sound like you shrink.
It's okay.
So, you don't need to give me an answer, but it's important you have an answer, because this is how the world works. This is how your mind works. You move towards what your mind thinks about and dwells about. You're right. As an actor, you may not always have the opportunity to be picky and choosy.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes what happens, this is just how it magically happens. If you dwell on that need long enough and hard enough, they magically manifest themselves in unexpected ways. So sometimes you have to have at least the compass pointed in the direction you want to go.
True.
And maybe that exact part doesn't come up, or maybe that exact movie project to produce doesn't come up right away. But they will slowly but surely look more and more like you imagined. Even sometimes the ones that don't look like it at all. They might be exactly what you imagined. That's a different thing. But the important thing I'm getting at to you is, if you haven't asked that question already, you need to. Because I think that's where you're at. You're at that, right? You're at that point.
How did you know?
Why? I know. Was I right? Was I right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just something about how you said the want and need part. It just sounded like you came to that realization not too long ago. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's almost easier as a producer in a way to learn that, to then apply it to acting, because as a producer, someone comes to you and you know that, hey, this is going to take a year. So someone comes to you with a script or an idea, whatever, and you go, okay, am I going to want to pursue this in a year's time? Am I going to still want to be pushing for this, after I've been told no, when my answer is yes, I will keep doing that. And so producing has kind of helped me get on that path with acting as well, to go, do I need to do this character? Do I need to worry about what someone's thinking? Do I need to Yeah. Is this someone that I want to work towards playing for 10 years? Well, yeah, that's, the answer is yes.
So
now that I've kind of figured some of that out.
Yeah. So
it's an interesting point, though.
No, it's just a thought because it's not that different. Again, they apply. It applies to everything actually. It doesn't just apply to like professionally; it's personal too.
Manifesting is huge.
Yeah, it's a personal thing too. I wanted people in my life. I like when I fixed the teeth. I don't know if you were there when actually, yeah, you saw me, but you didn't see me pre-teeth. You saw me post teeth last time. If I'm not mistaken. When I fixed the teeth, I had to make a decision of the kind of people I wanted in my life, and I've been. Yeah, and as I've gotten older, I've learned more and more that no is a beautiful word. Oh my God, it's beautiful, ain't it?
Oh.
And as you get older, you have to say it more. You don't say it less. You don't say it less. You have to actually say it more because you have.
Weird.
No, it's not that weird.
Well, it's just strange that it translates as you get older, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Yeah, because when you're
transitions
younger, when you're younger, you're trying to figure out what you want and what you really matters to you. Mm-hmm. But as you get older, it's like, okay, like I'm gonna have to go back to the workforce for a short period of time. For a short period of time while I'm freelancing. By the time I figured this out, it's like, that right? But it doesn't matter. I'm still selling stuff. It's just I know that it's now that I know kind of where I want to go. Now it's about going forward and just doing it, and it'll be a process. But like all processes, inevitably I'm going to wear it down and win because I'm awesome that way, and I need to win, right? So, and that's how it is, right?
Well, and it helps with goal setting.
Oh, absolutely, right? Absolutely. Right, it helps with goals, but again, it helps with everything. The kind of people in your life, the kind of relationships you want. The more specific you are, and the more honest you can be with yourself about what you feel you want and need, the more that will present itself out there for you, right? And you will change as a result as well, because what you've done is you've filtered all these things that aren't important. Like I always feel it's like life's like a million open doors, right? And what you're trying to do is you're trying to make the decision of which one you want to walk through. No is beautiful because what no does is it kind of shuts doors, right? It shuts doors for good.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like you're shutting doors, and you've made decisions in your head. If you say no on the inside, that thing is not going to be there forever. It probably won't be there for very long at all. It's just going to go, right? But if you say yes, if you do say yes, well, you're going to see plenty of that thing for as long as you live. And this is why I always say people at the end of the day do exactly what they want to do. The question really is, do you know it?
Very clever, Mr. Joshua.
That is very clever. You agree? You agree? Disagree?
I agree. No, I agree. It's a fascinating cycle of the journey.
Yeah.
The artistic journey.
Journey in general. I think journey in general. So I'm gonna ask a really fun one. This isn't like we're not gonna go. It's deep, but not in quite the same way. Is there anything you don't consider art?
No. Mm-mm. Nope. Nothing.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, because even like concrete pouring, there's an art to it. As much as I don't appreciate it in my everyday life, that's not entirely true. There's a lot of concrete pouring. Yeah, I just think that so many things, there's an art to it. There's a struggle to get better at it. There's a desire to want to do it. There's, and the interesting thing about what is and is not art, is that someone, maybe not you, maybe not me, appreciates that thing, that act, that creation at like the highest level of admiration. There's a person that is like, oh, that concrete pour is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Like, oh, the pristine, the this, the that. So to them, yeah, that's a work of art. So for me, I appreciate that in other people, what other people think is art. I may not think it's art, but because they think it's art, then I consider it art.
So, no, it's good. It's good. I just thought I'd ask that. I figured throw you off kilter here because it's like, just like,
it's a weird question. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird question. So I just figured I asked that because it's just the way we're talking about the artistic journey. It's like, well, do you consider anything unartistic, right? No. So,
yeah,
I think I got 2 questions left, and I think I'll let you go for the night because I think this is it. If this has been good for you, it's been good for me. But anyways,
for sure.
At this point, you've done 8 movies or 6 to 8 movies since I last saw you, plus the movies you've done before. Is there a movie, if someone was to figure out like what does Morgan Leblanc bring to the table, what's the movie to watch?
That kind of highlights my best abilities.
Yeah, I mean, what's the one if I were to look to hire you, what's the one on your resume that I would be like, you're like, that's the one, at least for right now.
Well, I like to think that I could play a really good Joker, but I'm currently working on something that I think answers this question. It's about mental health, and it's about a man trapped in himself, essentially. And so I think that because I've lived through lots of that stuff, that I would, arguably bring a lot to the table in such a project, because I've lived it for a long time, and so that I think right now.
Okay.
And maybe because I've been focusing a lot more on it and sorting through those things that you naturally, well, not naturally, but I naturally take to creation as a form of, expression, and then, kind of cleansing or getting rid of some of that crap.
Yeah. So different. So I'm going to follow up with this. Was this project why you went into therapy? Because was it one of those opposite?
Yeah.
You going into therapy led to this project.
Triggered me to write this thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is coming from a very personal place then.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's dark. Very dark.
Sometimes those things are.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Those things can be. All right. So I mean, it's maybe a little early to ask on the release date concept on it, but do you think like this time next year or the early year after you'll see it? Like, where do you see yourself going with that?
Yeah, I set a deadline of a February first draft. I missed that deadline, so I'm going to shoot for March first draft, and then I've kind of done some paperwork to kind of get the ball rolling to shoot it this summer, in conjunction with this other one that we're shooting this summer, and so then maybe next year a release date, I think.
Okay.
And I think that it's just so, like as a man, and anyone in general, I think that mental health is not common enough. It's not talked about enough. Not enough people, seek the help. And so I think, specifically though, as a man, it's very less. There's very less attention towards it. And so I just hope that doing something like that and something raw and something real, that someone can go, this guy's successful and maybe he went through all this stuff, that it likely will inspire other people to be like, okay, this seems very valid. I'm gonna look into that mental health thing.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's the strongest thing you can do, honestly, is be vulnerable. It's the hardest, but it's honestly the strongest thing you can do. Being the tough guy is easy. Being the guy that needs help, that takes strength.
Oh, yeah. And I think this might sound really arrogant, but the only one of the only reasons I ever wanted to be, successful was to maybe have people see your success, even though that it's flawed or jaded or, it came from a really dark story, and still be like, okay, wow, like this person, doesn't have a good upbringing or whatever, and they're still doing that. So if they can do it with all of that, then I can do it with this little bit of turmoil or this little bit of trauma or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Everybody's battling something. Like,
Yeah.
and I think the one thing that doing this podcast has taught me is that everybody has a world inside them. We have some, and I truly think that I don't think we give ourselves enough credit sometimes of how incredible we can be. But we also share as hell darkness in us. All of us do, and it's one of those things where it's one of the hardest things to do is confronting those things in you that are really hard to deal with. Like, just don't have an easy answer either sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of these things maybe you never fix, and that's a hard lesson. As I get older, as I get older, there are some things I can still change. There are some things that I won't be able to change as easily. I'm 40. I'm pushing 40, so that means I'm aware enough. I'm aware enough and flexible enough to still change. And then eventually I'm gonna get to 80. I'm jumping out of planes and I'm not giving a fuck about anything anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And I will be embrace all my flaws at that point, because at that point it'll be almost next to impossible. I'm not gonna say impossible to change, but I really have to want to. I don't know I'm going to want to at 80 years old. At 80 years old, I might be just perfectly content just jumping out of planes and needing new pairs of underwear and taking naps afterwards when it's over. I mean, that might be my life, and I would be okay with that. Someone said to me at 75, they want you to stop. It don't matter. When I get to that point, it's not that I think I'm immortal or anything. I've lived my life. I really will not give a shit. I really will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really will not.
Yeah.
Right? I barely give a shit now. I can only I'm terrified of myself at 10 years from now, because it's so the hardest thing for me about going back to a day job, honestly, is this: I don't think like an employee anymore. Like, I just don't, and I never will again, and I know it. Right. So the best I can hope for, the best I can honestly hope for, is that I can put up with it long enough to transition to where I want to go. That is the absolute best I can do, right? Because I no longer I really enjoyed this freelancing thing. I love being me in an environment, and I'm never going back in the box. I'm never going back in the box ever again. It's just never happening. You might want me to be a certain way, and it's not happening. I'm just gonna be me. And that's me at 40. I can only imagine myself at 80. Holy crap! I just can only imagine. Right? I don't care now. Holy crap! I don't know if I like it. Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, new underwear and naps, and possibly jumping on trampolines, and whatever.
And no life insurance, because no way. I don't need that. I'm gonna do this anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's like, aren't you? Not really. No, it's like, seriously. If I don't wake up tomorrow, it's not my problem. That's just how I look at it. So, oh God, I'm gonna be a terrible human being as I get older. Terrible. So what's coming out for you? This year? Is anything coming out for you this year? Because I know last year was kind of weird. So I don't know if there's anything like down the pike right now, or is that all going to be closer to the end of the year?
Yeah, no, we got some things that are hopefully hitting. We got some sales stuff coming up. Sales agents and stuff making some moves for us. So hopefully, my latest associating production was called Connecting Flights, and hopefully it's out soon-ish. I have a small part in it. It's a really beautiful story, just about a guy who grows up without a father, due to war. Pilots go overseas, they fornicate, and maybe there's a whole other family that they don't even know that they've created, and so then, this guy kind of looks up these services. He's kind of looking for his dad, finds his dad. His daughter goes over and tries to find out more about him because he denied the connection thing. So it's a cool story. And then I was in this thing called Disguise. It's like a fashion film with some mafia and stuff like that. It's kind of just about these people that use fashion as like a means of smuggling, if you will. And so it's kind of like a cop story, and there's love, and there's all these layers, and so that I have really long hair, and I'm wearing like really abstract clothing articles that I would never wear, and so I look very trendy, shall you say? Yes.
Trendy. Very trendy. That's right. I look
Trendy,
fashionable. You truly were the pretty one, right? It's like, but,
yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah, and then just just writing, and hopefully, some of that stuff kind of catches a bit more, grabs some more traction, and then I'm just looking to kind of step out of the box full time, like you're saying, and make the move to a bigger place, Vancouver, Toronto, just kind of full time, not not that I want to turn my back on anywhere, but.
Well, no, I mean, hey, that's the next stop for you. That's the next stop for you. I wish you the best of luck, man. I hope it all works out for you the way you imagine. Actually, scratch that. It works out better than you imagined. So, beyond all that, I think we have an interview here. What do you think? Do you think we got one?
I mean, I was entertained.
So. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay. I enjoyed it too. So, how can people find you? Like, do you have a website?
I'm on Facebook like every other Joe. Yeah, I don't. I mean, Link to the Past Productions is my website. It's out of date. I gotta update it. I'm so busy. I just need to hire people. I need an assistant. I need to outsource. And then again on Instagram, MDT Leblanc. And then Facebook, just my first name, last name. I should have went with a stage name.
See, honestly, I had considered this as an author too, but I looked at my name. Like, look at my name. Seriously, how am I going to make anything that's really that distinguishable any other way? Like, how am I going to do that? Right? Just that. I mean, that grabs you. With that, like, what the hell is that? Like, you look at my last name. It's like, what the hell is that? And you look at his book. It's like, and he writes a book too. It looks like a cool, sexy cover. Holy shit, he's good. That's my master.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right, but so I can't. Sometimes it works out. Like, look. I know Alice Cooper isn't really Alice Cooper, but I mean, he does cut his lawn and says hi to his neighbors. I mean, it works out in some form or fashion. It is what it is. But for everybody else out there,
for sure.
This is Morgan Leblanc. He is a writer, producer, director. And it seems like he's coming into peace with himself, and he's about ready to do some really awesome moves to kick some ass. He's been on my show before. It was a pleasure to have him again. And for everybody watching and listening, thank you for watching or listening to this. If you want to support this podcast, you can do so a number of different ways. I'm merely an affiliate on Twitch. Hit that follow button. I am very, very close. Twitch.tv/JoshJoshing I am where I usually am on the audio, and my YouTube channel is Joshua Pantalaresco. Hit any of the links if you want to buy some goodies. Besides all that, guys, stay inspired, keep shining in the dark, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with a fun guest, Ben Cook, a musician. It's going to be cool. All right, guys, take care.